Hey guys, welcome back to No Content. I'm pretty sure this is episode 39 or something like that. I'm Kubo. I'm 29th Pixel. He's 30,
Hey, hey.
35. 30,
Yeah, you got it.
35, baby. All right. Welcome, guys. What's up? Hope everyone's doing good out there in the world. Yeah, we're kind of just bouncing off of a deeper dive. I think I had the shortest episode of BlizzCon 2019 minicast. It was 10 minutes. It capped in at 10 minutes long.
Nice.
I just kind of recorded it really fast. And I promised you guys that on Monday we'd have Pixel back from BlizzCon and that we'd go into a deep dive of just all the announcements. Pixel was actually at BlizzCon, so we got to demo a lot of stuff. I was not there, so I kind of give my impressions from like the virtual ticket stuff and stuff like that. And I kind of like, I've already watched all the panels and checked out all that type of stuff. So I have like a lot of information at my disposal as well. Pixel's bringing his like actual hands-on experience, which I think is going to be pretty cool as well. Yeah. So, I mean, Pixel, I mean, just really quickly, how was BlizzCon?
It was actually pretty good. So I felt like there was a lot of stuff to be had there. There was just announcements for nearly everything.
Mm-hmm.
So everything just had something to announce. Like, of course, like big one was Diablo 4. That was just the meat and potatoes of the entire convention. Everybody was talking about it. Everything sort of revolved around that announcement.
Right, right.
And it really felt like that was the star of the show this year. Like this was what it was all about.
Yeah. I mean, that's not like too surprising or whatever.
Right.
Considering like all the leaks and stuff, which I think we pretty much confirmed that they were all pretty much true.
Yeah, which
So
is really, really crazy to me. Like, I can't
yeah,
believe how much of this actually got leaked. Because
yeah,
normally you don't hear any of these things. You,
yeah,
you like Blizzard has been technically very, very tight-lipped about anything. Like Overwatch, no one knew that that existed before Chris Messina took the stage and
yeah,
announced it. Like,
yeah.
it is mind-boggling to me that we went from that to now, where the entire speech of Jeff Kaplan was leaked somehow. Like, how? Like, we knew exactly what he was going to say before he even took the stage.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I guess the way we're gonna do it is we're just gonna take each announcement one by one, and then I guess Pixel or I will give like what our thoughts on it are. Maybe Pixel should probably go first because he actually got to demo it. We'll kind of give our
Mhm.
thoughts on it and give more details about the game and stuff, and then from
Sure.
there, I guess just give like our final impressions of like what we thought about it, or whatever. So I guess we can start, start off. We're gonna go from I guess like just kind of the small things to the kind of like bigger things as well.
Okay.
Just to kind of get it off the way. So we're not going to go in order of the keynote, obviously. So first off, we had Warcraft 3 Reforged. We got a little bit of information from that. The game was supposed to come out in 2019. It still says on the BattleNet launcher that it's coming out before December 31st, 2019. Some people are saying that it's going to be further back, though. There was no actual announcement or release of the actual game. JL and Brack said that it would be coming quote unquote soon for the announcement of when the game is actually going to be released. But we did get some information on that. Everyone who attended BlizzCon or purchased the virtual ticket will be getting access to the demo of Warcraft 3 Reforged tomorrow at 10 a.m. PST. That's Tuesday at 10 a.m. PST. Apparently, the beta will be accessible to everyone. I actually got into the beta. It's just a multiplayer beta. You can't do custom games. You can't do campaign, etc. It has 4 maps. It has the infamous Turtle Rock map, and it's basically just 1v1 or 2v2s. And the only 2 classes you can choose for now are human and orc.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
it's pretty limited. I mean, thoughts on this, Pixel? You played Warcraft 3 Reforged or Warcraft 3 back in the day. Are you excited for this? What did you get to test this at BlizzCon?
I didn't actually get to try it out. I did just get to watch people play it over their shoulders. But yeah, if you loved Warcraft 3 back in the day, I'm sure you're gonna love this. It's just a straight up update to all the graphics, and so if you really loved it, then this is gonna be great for you. And the fact that we're gonna get the demo tomorrow, it's gonna be we're gonna get a real like good look at what it's going to be.
For sure. I mean, for me personally, OG multiplayer for it is like whatever. I'm more in it for like custom games. But I really, I thought some things were interesting in the beta. I like that it's connected to BattleNet, obviously, so I can chat with my BattleNet friends. It also had an ability to link your classic Warcraft 3 and Frozen Throne key to
Mm-hmm.
the game itself. So I guess you could bring
Mm-hmm.
over your profile and your stats and your favorites and stuff,
It's
and all
amazing
your
they
map
kept that.
downloads and all that type of crap. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Remember that
Well,
they did mention that Warcraft 3 and Warcraft 3 Reforged, you can play with each other. So this is just basically a graphical update. There'll be a new map
mhm.
editor that's released pretty soon as well. And all the custom games should work still. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and what's cool about that is since all the custom games still work, that means you can actually play the original, Dota on this.
Yeah, that's
Defense of
actually
the Ancients.
defense actual original Dota, which I'm not gonna play, or I maybe, but I was awful at it.
Yeah, yeah.
It
Like
had
the
some
original.
it had some UI to in, improve upon, in my opinion. I don't know. It's so games are so different now that it's just definitely gonna feel like a mod or something.
It definitely will. Like,
Yeah,
it's gonna show it's long in the tooth.
yeah,
But yeah, you're probably gonna be able to play the original Dota on this. Like, it's actually gonna be nuts.
yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. I hope it comes out soon, but it's probably looking like a 2020 release, maybe a holiday release. I'm not really
Okay,
sure.
yeah.
Whatever. So, I played a little bit, and 12-year-old me would be very sad with current me. My APM was pretty bad. It was like 180 or something. I don't know if that's bad, but I had like 180 APM.
That sounds good to me. That's
Yeah,
like 3 actions per second. That's
yeah.
kinda quick.
Okay, I don't know. I feel like I was way better when I was a kid, but maybe I'm not or whatever. They have an actions per minute option in the game that I turned on, and I'm like, I'm not using this. I'm turning it back off or whatever. Like I'm gonna get pissed like playing it. But anyway, so Warcraft 3 Reforged, really that was all that was announced for it. Go check out the beta if you did get the virtual ticket and stuff. Next up, we did get a little bit of stuff about Heroes of the Storm, which I kind of wanted to touch on since my channel is kind of founded on that.
Mhm.
Deathwing is free for anyone who attended BlizzCon or had a virtual ticket. Once again, Deathwing was announced, I believe, like last week or so at this point. So if you want to check him out, he looks really busted, by the way. The character basically uses like other assets from other characters' alts and is unstoppable. So it can't be
Mm,
Deathwing can't be stunned, can't be rooted ever,
it's
and
crazy.
has a ton of health. But you are not able to heal Deathwing, so Deathwing can't get healed at all from your team or even from health globes. That's kind of how they're like mitigating Deathwing, I
Mhm.
guess a bit or whatever. But he does seem like really, really, really strong. Um,
Yeah.
they kind of did like a deep dive, like a what's next in Heroes of the Storm type of panel that I kind of briefly watched. And what they mentioned was I'm kind of on board with it. They basically said that because of competitive being removed last year, they have no plans of bringing competitive back, but they still plan on supporting Heroes of the Storm for the foreseeable future for now. And what their
Mhm.
plan is really just to make like fun, weird, crazy characters, make fun, weird, crazy maps and stuff like that, and do more of a fan service type of game,
Mhm.
which I'm actually kind of okay with. I think that for me, I didn't ever really see Heroes as a competitive game. And I think that its detriment was trying to make it a competitive game and trying to balance this weird type of unique MOBA into a competitive space. And I wish they had
Mhm.
just kept it like some weird, like crazy, like thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But
Because like, yeah,
yeah,
its whole story is just combining every single property that Blizzard has and throwing them all into one game. Like, it had a quirky sort of sense of humor to begin with, so like it
right.
makes sense for them to go this path instead of going like the competitive route. I think it could open up some really interesting ideas if all their care if all they care about is just
Mhm.
making some weird like crazy fun instance.
Yeah, but we'll see how it goes. I know the team's like super small now. I know that like Heroes of the Storm is considered what's called a classic game at Blizzard, which is basically just like if you guys didn't know, any game that's like not really supported as much anymore. I think it's like basically like StarCraft 1, all three Warcrafts, even Reforged
Mhm.
actually. I know StarCraft 2 is surprisingly not counted, but Heroes of the Storm, Diablo 1, 2, and 3 were also added into that as well. It basically just means, if you guys didn't know, the classic team is just like maybe, I don't know, I'm going to throw out a random number, 200 people or so, and they just kind of all work on all these games. So it's kind of like all these little mini projects and trying to
Mhm.
support these games when they need to, when they have time.
Right.
I've read interviews with people there, and they say it's like one of the funnest jobs at Blizzard is just supporting the classic team because it's like oh, we want to update Diablo 2, maybe add like a couple balance patches. Like, yeah, we'll get to that. Let's do that today. Oh, let's go to StarCraft and do something here. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And it's kind of like you're not stuck to like one game or, ideas like that. So maybe that's good for heroes. You know what I mean? When they get inspired or when they think, oh, let's do this, let's add this event, let's do that. They can do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It definitely felt kind of interesting that like all these classic games were in the basement of the Anaheim Convention Center. Like there was
oh,
the
the
Blizzard.
Blizzard Arcade.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
all of that was like in the basement, and
Hmm.
like it felt bad seeing all of the older classic games, including like Heroes of the Storm, just kind of get pushed out of the way, out of like the
Yeah.
spotlight sections. So yeah, it kind of sucked, but like it was also cool to see like all the stuff that made Blizzard what it is today. So you got to play all the cool like older games like Rock and Roll Racing and
Yeah.
Blackthorn and
Right.
Lost Vikings.
Yeah, I'm really hoping what eventually happens is that they just make a separate tab maybe on the BattleNet launcher called like classic games, and like they don't have to put
Mhm.
heroes there or like whatever there like Warcraft 3 or Forge, but just have them there so that I can just play them through the current BattleNet system. Like they don't
Mhm.
even have to be like remasters or updated graphics, like just let me play
Yeah.
them like in like the actual BattleNet client because these games do not play nice on like modern machines for sure
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah.
like
Like
that.
you need some sort of like DOS box emulator to
Yeah.
actually be able to play them, and it gets hacky.
Yeah, it gets weird, and then like even like started playing Diablo 2 a little bit more. I have to make like a separate BattleNet account or whatever because it's
Mhm.
on like BattleNet Classic. It's not on like the original like the BattleNet servers currently. So it's like I have to make a new profile and stuff. It's weird, but
Mhm.
beyond that anyway, with Heroes, they did also announce that all Heroes will be free until the end of the year. I think. I'm not
Mhm.
100%
Yep.
sure on this. I think it's until the end of the year, but yeah, all Heroes will be free. So if you guys haven't played Heroes of the Storm, I honestly, I enjoy the game. I just played so much of it that I've kind of been burnt out on it or whatever. But it is a pretty fun game. It is like pretty enjoyable. It doesn't take itself too seriously.
Mhm.
Um, Next up, I guess, is StarCraft 2. They announced that there would be a new co-op commander, which is part of their like single player that you can purchase or whatever. If you guys didn't know, also kind of a side note, but if you guys log into StarCraft 2 at any time, basically from now until forever, you'll actually get a free announcer pack for Control, who was pretty pivotal in the StarCraft scene and who passed away from a heart attack, I believe, like a few months ago. So they immortalized him in StarCraft 2, and you get like a free profile picture and like announcer pack for him.
Mhm.
Totally free if you install it. They also said that there was a DeepMind demo. If you guys remember last year, they announced that
Yeah.
DeepMind would be working with StarCraft 2 and doing that whole thing. And there was actually a demo where you could play it at 3 different levels. What did you think about it? Did you get to see that Pixel? Like test
No,
that
I
out or
didn't.
anything? Hmm.
It was really interesting. So, like, for those who don't know, like, they brought a DeepMind agent to BlizzCon. So this was an AI that had been trained to play StarCraft 2 at varying levels of difficulty, and you could
Mm-hmm.
actually, play against it. So they had brought like this, I guess, master level AI all the way down to, I think it wasn't even like an average player. It was like somewhere well above average. But I wish I got to see some of these matches because like it sounded impossible to play against.
Right. The cool thing was for me is I actually saw some people like live streaming it like IRL on Twitch and they were
Mhm.
live streaming from it. And they had like pro players playing it and stuff like that. And I thought that was really cool. And I was like, wow, why isn't this being streamed anywhere on like Twitch, like on the official virtual ticket
Yeah,
or anything like that? Because it was like something like really cool that like I got to see or whatever. And I was
right.
like really disappointed that they didn't showcase that like almost at all, like anywhere. Like it's not on the virtual ticket still. Like people were like randos were streaming it off their phone or whatever. So that was
Exactly.
kind of
Yeah.
like that was kind of disappointing for me
Yeah, I
personally.
remember that the announcement when they made it at the opening ceremony, I was like, "Wow, this is actually really cool.
Yeah.
This is like actually training an AI to become a better opponent, and
Right.
this could transfer into like any other game. Like, could learn how to play a battle royale and actually become a really really good like player in that."
Right. And then nothing.
Yeah,
Like and then like no live stream, no like any like coolness like that. I don't know. It was kind of disappointing for me.
yeah, I know. Like, it was such a cool idea, but they never got any kind of actual time.
Or footage. It was
Uh,
just weird. It was one of the most
yeah.
disappointing things or one of the disappointing things I had for BlizzCon. I think that my BlizzCon announcement thing. We'll touch on that later, but it's pretty like in my opinion. But we'll see if that changes. But yeah, so StarCraft, if you guys wanted to like check that out as well, you can get they had that DeepMind thing as well. They didn't really announce anything else for the game wise, but they did announce that like all the other stuff is like coming back or whatever, like the competitive season and all that stuff. I know that I think a Korean one, did a Korean win again this time? I'm not really sure.
Yes.
I honestly don't recall. Okay.
I believe yes.
In the competitive scene, a Korean one. Okay. Fair.
Yep.
I know that yeah, it's maybe I'll link it later on Twitter or in the show notes or something like that, and in the description of your video. But I'll try to look up those streams for when people had stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll end up seeing what ends up happening with that or whatever.
Yeah, totally. I would love to see that actually.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. Oh, it looks like my camera froze, so we're just gonna YOLO it and not have a cam. Whatever. I don't really care. No one really watches this on stream or whatever. But oh,
I'm alone now.
Pixel's so lonely. But anyway, I think moving on from that, now we're getting in kind of like the bigger stuff. I think the main stuff or whatever that's been happening on from BlizzCon or whatever.
The meat and potatoes.
The meat and potatoes of everything that was announced. I guess let's start with Warcraft or whatever. So World of Warcraft came out on stage. They are doing Phase 2 of World of Warcraft Classic, which comes out on November 12th, which is pretty cool. It will add honor rating for PvP.
Yeah, to Battlegrounds.
Yeah, it's a Battlegrounds and just PvP in general.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm kind of down, dude. It's gonna be pretty lit.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Like I'm actually really excited for that or whatever. They also announced a WoW charity pet. It's like a little alpaca or something like that. It looked pretty cute.
Yes.
The proceeds go to a couple of charities that they have always been part of. And then they also announced that for the 15th anniversary, you basically have until November 12th until 2 months, so basically January roughly, to get a Deathwing mount and a mini pet for completing like a couple of like classic dungeons, I guess.
Yeah. You have to like sign in at a certain time and complete a certain level of quests or achievements, and you get this massive mount. But if you just sign in, you get the pet.
Right. So apparently like that's like a thing as well or whatever. So that, I mean, I guess that's I don't know. I'm okay with that. it seemed like pretty cool or whatever as well. So I'm not really sure if I'll do it. Are you do you have a WoW subscription still, Pixel? I mean, it is in retail WoW, so I feel like not a lot of people unfortunately have one, but
I actually don't. I'm thinking about resubscribing just to like, hop in and, do a few things and see like the new features. I actually still meant to try out Classic WoW again.
Oh wow! So you still haven't like even done that or whatever, right?
I haven't. I just haven't been like able to find time to play it.
Well, that's fair. But yeah. So then moving on to new stuff for World of Warcraft, Warcraft Shadowlands. Pixel, what did you think about this? I have my issues with it, but what do you think about like Warcraft Shadowlands?
It's interesting. I mean, like, there's only so much that you can do with the world. And when I played the demo, you got to explore this sort of like new area, this new land. And, I didn't really get much out of it because it just kind of felt like, you're just running around. There's really nothing new mechanics wise to kind of keep you there. So really, it was just like, oh, check out this new hill, this new tree kind of thing. This new design for a land. Like, it was cool. I think a lot of it's going to come from the lore and just kind of like really diving deep into that.
Right. What did you think of the stat squish though? The leveling stat squish or the leveling stat, or did you not hear much about that?
I heard about it. I actually like that idea.
I do too. Yeah.
It's so the stat squish. What's going to happen is that when you go to play Shadowlands, you're actually going to be leveling there from 50 to 60. You are no longer actually playing any of the other expansions. So that's the really interesting thing about this new expansion. They're changing how people are leveling, and I kind of like that idea.
Yeah.
Because like you get to a point where when you get to that level of level, you're just chasing higher and higher in numbers,
Right.
and it becomes this sort of race to the to. I mean, you're not gonna. I'm really finding the I can't find the words to describe just how this feels, because like it feels like there's more of an achievement when you're lower level and you get that tiny bit of boost, as opposed to like getting like 1,000 points in some sort of stat.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that this is going to make increases in items just a little bit more meaningful
Mm-hmm.
in ways. And so I think all in all, I think it's going to be a good thing. And plus, I mean, you
Yeah.
don't have to go through all of those expansions leading up to this. I feel like that's kind of like busy work when,
Right.
you know, you want people to just go dive right into this new content. And
Yeah.
so I feel like there's going to be fewer levels to go through, fewer things that you need to do. And so I think people are just going to get to this content a lot easier and a lot faster.
Right. I do like also the way that, did you see anything about how they're dealing with alts or level 1 characters now?
You can bring them like directly to level 10 or something, right?
Yeah, so you can bring them directly to level 10, but now there's a thing where you will be leveling from 1 to 50 through current Battle for Azeroth zones and areas. But the
Mm-hmm.
levels will scale with you and stuff like that, so you can choose wherever you want to go. But if you want to, you can go to Chromie and she'll time warp you back to those expansions to when they were actually that level. So if you want to like time
Yes.
warp back to like BC or something, right?
Yeah, which is
Because like that was one of the
oh.
problems with like leveling that people always had an issue with, especially some of my friends who don't play WoW as often or started playing WoW like
Mhm.
within the last year. Was like, why is my war chief changing every like 5 hours or 6 hours of leveling? Like, I don't understand this story. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it didn't make
Yeah.
sense. So I think the leveling experience is going to be like really good, and it's cool, interesting to see that they even said like we want every level, even when leveling your alt, matter. And they said like
Mhm.
leveling will be like not super hard, but a little bit more difficult. But they did say that if you did want to breeze past it fast, there's still out looking for group, and you can still obviously like queue in dungeons and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
just spam, level really fast. But if you want to take your time and stuff like that, you can do that as well. So I think that's really cool that they're kind of probably took a page out of classic WoW, in my opinion, when
Mhm.
it came to like leveling and kind of implementing that in retail.
Yeah, I really like the idea of Chromie and
Mm.
just being able to pick and choose like the content you want to experience. Like,
Right.
oh yeah, I just want to go back to BC, or oh, I want to go back and experience, Wrath of the Lich King. So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I think, um, man, I think the. Oh no, I was gonna say the Tower of the Damned, that new mechanic that they have in the game, looks really cool. Actually, if you don't know, that's like kind of like end game content, but it's basically an MMO roguelike. You beat
Hmm.
levels in this tower, and it's like Slay the Spire. Like you go up in these levels, and every time you beat a level or a couple levels, you get temporary augmentations to your character that only stay with you in the Tower of the Dam. And obviously, when you die, you start back at level 1 with none of those augmentations again.
That's
And
kind of
and it's
interesting.
kind of like a roguelike in an MMORPG. And there's obviously like rewards if you group with people or like play it solo. Like there's different reward structures and stuff like that. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool that
So
they're like merging in these different sort of genres or gameplay mechanics into WoW, like that you
mhm.
would never actually expect. Like it just reminds me of when they put that mini game in with like the Plants vs Zombies.
Yeah. Like
So
randomly in like Hillsbrad or something.
yeah, yeah, I thought that was like really cool to see that.
Yeah. Um. Side note, dude, I don't know what's up with the writing with Warcraft. Like, I've been complaining about this for the last year, but why are we getting a Garrosh 2.0? Like, why are the Horde being made to look like bad guys again? Right? When this was supposed to, like, the beauty of Warcraft, in my
Yeah.
opinion, in Classic and even BC and Lich King, was that like both sides kind of suck. You know what I mean? Both sides like have their flaws, they have their issues, right? Like the Horde
Mhm.
was just running away from like somebody that was basically just trying to like wipe them out. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
they get to Azeroth, and the Alliance judge them and just assume they're like evil monsters. The Horde's on edge and thinks that they're evil too. And there's always this been back and forth where like you can really just kind of go with either side, Alliance or Horde, being like good or the
Mhm.
bad guys.
Right.
But I
Yeah, that
hate how
makes
like this has happened where all of a sudden, for some reason, like in the last few expansions, I want to say even starting around Mist, because that's when we killed Garrosh Hellscream. Why is it that it's like all of a sudden the Horde is clearly bad, or at least their leadership is clearly bad. You know what I mean? Like, I hate that. I don't get why we're doing this thing with Sylvanas again. Like, you know that, like, the final boss is going to be Sylvanas, probably. You know what I mean? Like, it's just stupid.
Yeah, and that's a problem, I think, with the writing, that
Yeah.
when it comes to good villains and good conflict, you have to believe that either side is correct in some way.
Right.
They have to believe that they're the good guys. The Horde has to believe they're good, and the Alliance has to believe they're good and they're doing the right thing.
Right.
But when you have something like this, it's clear cut that, you know, Sylvanas is in the wrong here.
Right.
She's actually destroying the world.
Right.
You know, actually she destroyed the world, and now she's gonna, like, you know, tear all sorts of, like, dimensions apart. And
and all of a sudden, how is she so OP now? All of a sudden, she just pulls off the Lich King helmet from, like, Bolvar and, like, grabs it and, like, rips the Lich King helmet in half. Like, wasn't she around during Lich King? Why couldn't she do that then?
Yeah, seriously. I feel like Bolvar was a wuss.
Why was Bolvar so weak all of a sudden? Like, he's had all this time just chilling there as the Lich King. Like, what the heck is he? I don't know. It just was weird, dude. And it's like, she's so OP all of a sudden.
You know why? It's because Sylvanas leveled up with the expansions. She's got like 30 levels on Bolvar.
I guess. It's so stupid. It's one of the dumbest things. Also, why are there ghosts in the Shadowlands? I thought the Shadowlands was like the afterlife.
Yeah.
How's it when we die in the Shadowlands? Like, you know what I mean? There's so many questions. I have so many questions.
Dude, I actually played the Shadowlands, and the first thing that I thought of was, I need to kill myself, and I need to see what it looks like when I'm dead. I did.
What did it look like? Just normal?
You know, no, it actually looked a little bit more colorful.
Oh, weird. Okay.
So, like, you know how everything is like really, really gray and stuff when you run back to your corpse? Right. It was just like, it was slightly different, and then everything was a little more colorful, and everything felt like there was more like wispy and like steam like swirls going around. So it was kind of interesting that, like, you were also dead in the afterlife, like you were double dead.
Right, yeah. That's kind of weird. Yeah, so if you guys don't know, if you guys don't follow the lore of World of Warcraft, the Shadowlands is basically like their version of like the afterlife. Like, it's not really a heaven or hell, but like the only interactions we've had with the Shadowlands, at least with the lore, is like when you die in World of Warcraft and like that spirit comes and like reses you and you have to corpse run back or whatever, that spirit is like the lore is like that spirit is guiding you back to your corpse to give you like another chance. And that spirit's from like the Shadowlands. So apparently we're gonna like meet that like actual like blue angel weird spirit thingy in the Shadowlands. So it's just weird that like you can die in the Shadowlands. You know what I mean? But
yeah. It's kind of weird, but I'll just go with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, overall thoughts on World of Warcraft. I for me personally, I don't really have much to say. It's just, it was kind of expected as an announcement from Blizzard. It's like, oh, a new WoW expansion, like duh. But I mean, for me, it was whatever. I don't think I'll play it. Maybe, I mean, I probably will to level the character, but that's about it. That's usually what I do every expansion. But what did you think?
I'm not super excited for it, just mainly because I don't really have anybody to play with. And so for leveling in this game as a solo character, it's kind of painful. Even if you group, I mean, it's not really my thing anymore. I might just like hop in for a month and kind of see like what's different, just sort of just get an overall view of like how it plays now. Because, you know, I owe a lot to that game. I spent a lot of years into it. And playing it. And so like it would feel weird for me to kind of pass up an expansion pack and not at least see what it has to offer. Right.
Yeah, I totally get you. I mean, you could always jump in with our group, and we don't really like play or level together though. That's the thing, right? Like we queue for dungeons together, but like if you ever want to just jump in our Discords and just talk while we're leveling, that's mostly what we did for Classic WoW. Like we weren't really playing together, but we could just like chill and talk, like send each other videos or just whatever. You know, we had like a music bot, so it was pretty chill. But I get what you mean about the solo stuff, but.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, okay. So moving on from Warcraft, I guess we should go to, I guess we'll save Overwatch and Diablo 4 for last. Hearthstone.
Sure.
Moving on to Hearthstone. Actually, some pretty interesting announcements coming from out of Hearthstone. We touched about this. I touched about it briefly on This Week in Hearthstone. We made a whole episode about that as well. If you guys don't know, that's my weekly podcast where we go through all the Hearthstone news. So if you guys want more information on that, you guys can go check that out. It's in the episode description of No Content. But anyway, They did announce Descent of Dragons expansion. It's the last expansion of the Year of the Dragon, so nothing very shocking. If you guys didn't know, Rise of the Shadows started with, a bunch of evil villains taking over Dalaran, and then it went to the Savers of Uldum, who stopped, the League of Evil from doing a bunch of bad things, and now there's a final battle that's going to happen, I guess, in Northrend, technically. With a bunch of dragons. They announced a bunch of stuff. There's a new mechanic that's for their new hero card called Invoke, and apparently it powers up their new hero card called Galkrond. Galkrond is a legendary hero card, so it replaces your current hero. Apparently, this time around, he will be a hero. He's kind of like neutral, I guess, but 5 out of 9 classes will be able to use him.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that you level him up and stuff is you play a card that has Invoke. It's kind of like Cthulhu, and if wherever he's at in your hand or in your deck, he gets powered up or whatever. And so obviously the Rogue Goronk and the Warlock one and the Warrior one all have different hero powers and different abilities and all that type of stuff. They did say that if you do log into the game, I think 90 days after the expansion releases, which the expansion releases on December 10th, you will get 5 free legendaries. So you'll get Goronk for free, basically. All 5 of those heroes. So it's pretty nice of them to do for sure. And that expansion releases December 10th. You can pre-purchase it right now as well. The pre-purchase prices are a little bit better than they used to be. I think it's $60 for 80 packs. Or $80 for 100 packs or something like that. So if you guys wanted to pre-purchase that, you guys can go check that out. I think the more interesting news, or actually, well, Pixel, what did you think? I guess we should go over that portion, because there is another thing that was announced at BlizzCon as well for Hearthstone. But what did you think of that?
Dude, I'm just happy that there's more dragons. I always like to see that tribe getting expanded more and more, and just it's gonna be cool seeing this legendary dragon and seeing what people create with it.
Right.
So I think it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah. Next up, though, I think that this was kind of the second announcement, which for me kind of caught me by surprise. I think it caught a lot of people by surprise, to be honest. I think it was one of the things that wasn't leaked, is that Hearthstone is jumping into auto chess. They have changed, starting, I guess, tomorrow, technically, which we'll get into in a sec. The Arena tab will now be changed to a new tab called Modes. And there'll be 2 modes in there, what they're calling Hearthstone Battlegrounds, which is their version of auto chess, and then Arena. For anyone who has a BlizzCon, who got a BlizzCon ticket, once again, got a virtual ticket, or pre-ordered Descent of Dragons, you will have access to the game early from basically tomorrow at 10 a.m. until the 12th of November. After that, it will be an open beta, I guess, and anyone will be able to try out this new version of auto chess. I guess very, very quickly or whatever, to explain how it is or whatever, it definitely feels like Hearthstone. It definitely feels like an expanded Tavern Brawl, in my opinion. Even on their deep dive, they said it started off as a Tavern Brawl. I want to say that it feels probably 70% Hearthstone and maybe 30% auto chess. It's a very weird combination of both or whatever. It still uses a board mechanic and not like a 3D figure mechanic or whatever. A couple of key differences with it. It is 8-player. It is 8 versus 8. It is one of those things where there is going to be an MMR system that's going to be visible, and a leaderboard that's coming out tomorrow. Same thing, top 4. You will rank up or gain an MMR, and it's actually MMR. It's actually a physical number, which I thought was interesting. It's not like Angry Chicken or something. You start off at 3,500, and then you go up or down, which I just thought was interesting. Top 4, you gain. Bottom 4, you lose. Beyond that, though, it is doing some weird, quirky things like most Blizzard games do. The first one being that there's 24 playable heroes in this mode. So think of it like you choose a Tavern Brawl hero. They're all unique. They're not like the Warrior or Hunter, and they all have a unique hero power. So that's pretty interesting, pretty weird to utilize. The second thing that we should probably mention is how the economy works. You get gold coins, up to 10 of them, like mana, and you gain 1 every turn. You start off with 3 gold. And every single unit, no matter how strong or how weak it is, costs 3 gold. To sell it back, it will cost 1 gold. If you combine 3 of the same unit, it will turn into the golden version of that unit and be stronger. You can't then combine more units and upgrade it. So there's only one upgrade path as well. We should keep in mind. There's a buying phase and a combat phase, obviously. In the buying phase as well, we should mention you can upgrade your tavern to get stronger minions. And I learned this recently, but every turn you don't upgrade it, the cost of upgrading the tavern reduces by 1.
That's correct.
By
Yep.
1 gold, right?
Yep.
And then the way battling works is that minions attack from left to right. And so that means that if your left minion has a death rattle and it dies and it summons 3 of something, then those now are all on the left and those will attack. Minions are attacked randomly unless there's a taunt in the way. And if there's multiple taunts, then it's just an RNG coin flip of like what it's going to attack. At the end of it, your characters do damage, and then you go back to the buying phase, and I believe it's at 40 health. That was a mouthful. But yeah, that's basically everything about it. Side note before we get in really deep dive into this, I do plan on streaming it tomorrow, 10 a.m. PST. If you guys want to go check that out, twitch.tv/ryankubo. Just a shameless plug. Play a few games of it and see how it goes. Pixel, what do you think of the mode?
Mm-hmm.
I know you played it and stuff like that. I have my thoughts on it as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
It's a really interesting mode. So for those who are familiar with auto chess, it's extremely simplified. And I mean this like it's extremely simplified. Like just like here's the storm, they've taken out items if we compare this to Teamfight Tactics. So right off the bat, nothing really modifies your units except by buying multiples. So the other thing that I noticed is that it maintains the same kind of card mechanics that are present in like Wild or Standard.
Yeah, so if you kind of played Hearthstone, you kind of get it. I kind of like that, to be honest, though. But yeah.
So like you have some interesting weird interactions where you have a battle cry, and then they kind of stick around, but then they just clog your board. They're not really providing value. You have units that will it's kind of weird that's just the interactions when you have a game like this versus like a standard game. You have like Divine Shield becomes incredibly powerful. You have death rattles become extremely valuable because it just creates more bodies in the board that you have to get through.
Right.
Like, it just becomes it becomes a totally different game. And I don't know how that interacts when you have mechanics designed for a standard game and then you kind of shoehorn it in to Battlegrounds. So it'll be kind of interesting to see. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see like what people think of it, and like if you can actually create something extremely broken from it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there are situations where you can create something that is incredibly broken.
Yeah. I mean, my thoughts on it are kind of wavering. I need to try it out tomorrow and see like how I can pass full judgment on it. One of the things personally for me with TFT, and maybe it's just because I'm not very good at it and I haven't really invested a lot of time on it. By the way, the new TFT set comes out the day after tomorrow, so Wednesday. So that'll be interesting trying to juggle both and trying to learn both or whatever. Maybe if I like the Hearthstone one, I'll just stick with that. Who knows? But I don't like items in TFT. And I know a lot of people do because it adds some type of depth or whatever. But for me, I'm already as a noob player with TFT, just struggling to try to figure out like synergies with just like the classes, trying to get glacials or trying to get this to work or trying to get that to work. I kind of like that there's no items in TFT because there's no way to like augment the characters and stuff like that. But then once again, that makes it so there's less depth, right? There's less ways to make maybe builds that just suck good because of the items. So I totally get like the understanding of both, but it's nice that I only have to worry about, trying to get Murlocs or trying to get this or trying to get Divine Shield or trying to get that and trying to build a build like that.
Exactly. Yeah. It does make it a lot simpler because like all you really care about is stat stacking.
Yeah.
If you find like cards that boost the stats of one and create like this mega unit, like you're good, you're golden.
Yeah. I know a lot of the things with the battle cries too, because what happens is you buy something from Bartender Bob and then you play it, the battle cry activates before you go into combat. I saw a strategy where a lot of people were just buying the battle cries and then instantly just selling them back.
Yes.
Which I thought, which was like pretty smart as well to do, so it doesn't clog your board if you don't need it per se.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because I was trying to figure out like there's something in my head telling me like there's something you could do with battle cry cards. There's something. They're like they just use them and then you toss them.
Yeah.
Like that makes so much sense. I knew that there had to be something.
Yeah. And then also like it's really interesting, like some units, like for example, Alley Cat, which is like when you play Alley Cat, its battle cry is it summons a Tabby Cat. I thought that was interesting that like some people are like buying Alley Cat, getting Tabby Cat, and then buffing one or two of them and then selling back the one that they don't want. Right? Because like that's technically like it's technically 2 gold. You get a 2 gold unit technically for 3 gold and stuff like that as well.
Mhm.
To be honest with you, like I said, I'm going back and forth with auto chess, and for me, it's not the gameplay that I don't like. I think the gameplay for me personally will be kind of interesting. I think for me, my worry is just what is Hearthstone's long term goal with these type of games.
Mhm.
I It's very clear that I don't think the game is going to be competitive, which I'm completely fine with. Kind of going back to our Heroes of the Storm thing, I kind of am okay with it just kind of being weird and wacky and crazy, right? I'm okay
Mhm.
with that. Um, but the problem that I know that's with Hearthstone is just I hope that they rotate cards in and out of this auto chess thing quite often, because the problem with Hearthstone in the way that it's coded is that you can't just nerf a card in one mode and it doesn't affect the other modes. That's just how the game was coded, because I don't think the game was ever created to have a standard and wild mode. So what I mean
Mhm.
by that is if they decide to nerf, let's say, Murloc War Leader from 3 attack to 2 attack in auto chess, it will also be 2 attack in standard, in wild, in arena. There's no way to separate that. So
Mhm.
I like that there's a vast pool of cards that they're going with wild cards as well. So I'm hoping that they can start pulling stuff in, because it would be really cool to, for example, Descent of Dragons comes out, and I know they're not doing that with this, but with Descent of Dragons comes out, oh, it's dragon themed. Let's pull a bunch of dragons even from wild and put them into the auto chess mode. You know what I mean? And do stuff like
Mhm.
that, or rotate cards out, because that's the only way that they're gonna be able to balance this like auto battler.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea how they're actually going to balance it with just such a huge card pool to look at. I feel like Wild's, I don't think they actually balance around Wild at all.
They do
So
sometimes. There have been like a handful of nerfs in the past year to wild, but yeah, not normally.
gotcha, yeah. So I can see them just kind of like letting things go as is in Battlegrounds. And like, if something is horrendously broken, then, it is what it is.
Right. I mean, I think part of the like not items per se, but one of the RNG item maybe mechanics, that's the only word I can think of right now, is the heroes. Like depending on which hero you choose as well, and their hero
Hmm.
power could like really change up the game. I think that's kind of
Hmm.
like where it comes from. It seems pretty cool. I'm definitely open to try it, and I want it to be good and fun, because I do like TFT, but I can't play TFT for like very long. My other complaint with this auto chess game, and another reason why I say I don't think this is going to be competitive, maybe it can if they land it up or something like that, is that unfortunately this game can only be played with one other friend, which I kind of find
Mm,
very disappointing. You can't. There's no way to party in Hearthstone. It's just the limitations of the client itself. So
yeah.
I could play with Pixel. I can invite him to a game. Obviously, we'd verse each other and stuff like that, and just kind of chill. But there's no way to invite 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, people into the game. Another thing that
Hmm.
might be tilting to people is there is no casual mode, so you're always playing ranked. I don't think that's a big deal with the game as well. But
Hmm.
I think the social feature is kind of a little disappointing, because the way I play TFT is I rarely play on my own, but I always play when friends want to play
Yeah,
and kind of
gotcha.
just like mess around and stuff. And I think going forward with TFT, I'm pretty sure that's how I'm going to treat the game still. I don't think I can play solo. I just don't enjoy it. I tried to play solo the other day off stream, and it was just
Mhm.
like brawler nights the whole time. And it's kind of fun when we have a group of like 5 or 6 people, so we own the majority of the lobby, and we're just kind of like dicking around. So it's not like
Mhm.
everyone's going brawler nights. Like, yeah, the other 2 to 3 people that might be not in our group are going brawler nights, but that's fine, because everyone else is
Mhm.
going like weird fun comps. But
Sure,
that's
sure.
just my opinion. So that will be out tomorrow. Oh, I did want to add really quick with the economy type of stuff. With the mana and stuff like that. I actually like it. I think it's interesting. Economy does not transfer over to the next turn. So what that means is that if you're at 3 gold and you only spend 2 gold and you have 1 gold left, might as well use it
Mhm.
to reroll just to see what you get.
Right.
Because that 1 gold won't transfer over to your next round. Next round you'll have 4 gold. You won't have 5 gold. So that's something to keep in mind as well with the economy. So it is very simplified.
Yeah, it's exactly like Hearthstone economy. Like, you don't want to float mana.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, overall, I know you played like a game of it or whatever. I know, like, for you personally, like, auto chess isn't really your type of jam. So, I mean, what did you think about it? Do you think that this is a game that you would be like willing to play, more so than TFT, or is it just like this? Even this doesn't really like intrigue you that much, or what?
I would be more willing to play it just because there's an easier barrier to entry. That's just kind of like where I am with games and stuff. Yeah, I can see myself just giving it a shot. I'm not going to completely just write off the entire auto battler genre, but I just want to have a game that I feel I can understand and feel like I can actually have fun learning.
Hey, okay, we're playing tomorrow then. On stream, you heard it here first. Well, I mean, honestly, if you want to play tomorrow, let's do it.
You know,
we can check it out. We'll both be.
I might not actually have access to it, so
no. If you have a BlizzCon, you went to BlizzCon.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, the way that I got my ticket, I don't have the code.
No, you don't. Is it linked to your BattleNet account? Your ticket?
No, it's not.
Oh, well, rip you. So yeah, never mind. Also, I should mention this mode is completely free. I think that's something that we've completely forgot to mention or whatever. This isn't going to cost something like Arena where you pay 150 gold to buy in. This mode's going to be completely free. Even if you just install the game today and you've never played Hearthstone before, the game is going to be completely free, which is, in my opinion, pretty cool. It's pretty nice. There are no rewards, though, at the same time. They did confirm, though, if you do get top 4, you do get, there's like every 3 wins, you get like 10 gold or something like that. They did confirm that that's in it, though. So that's kind of nice, right? Like, yeah, at least you get that. Like, you don't have to waste your time with that. But there are no rewards in the sense of like it upgrades your end of the season chess. It gets you better rankings, gets you better rewards, or anything like that. So keep that in mind as well. But the game mode's going to be completely free. I think very briefly, the last thing that we have to like talk about or whatever that I should mention is there is kind of a quote unquote battle pass with the game. And,
really?
Kind of. It's kind of weird, and I get where they're coming from. But basically, the way the battle pass is going to work is, at least for right now, this is how the battle pass is working. You will unlock additional stuff when you've opened or bought or earned. I guess I should say a certain number of packs from the latest Hearthstone expansion. So what's happening right now is that. Right now, if you've basically purchased, I think, 10 Savior of Uldum packs, and that means by real money, that means by gold, that means gifted, or even from the free logins. So someone did the math on this, and we actually got, I think, 25 free packs over the past, like, month or two since Saviors of Uldum released or whatever, as long as you were logging in and stuff. At 10 packs, you get, I guess, more statistics and stuff about how your games have been going, which I thought is weird. That should just be built in. But anyway, at 20 packs, the hero that you get to choose at your game at the start of your game goes from 2 to 3, so you get another option. And at 30 packs, you get a custom emotes, another pack of emotes that's themed around. Because if you guys didn't know, in the Hearthstone Battlegrounds, you do have other emotes to utilize instead of like the greetings, hello, well played, all that stuff. That's what it's going to be for now. When Descent of Dragons comes out, that will then be the latest expansion, right? And then you'll have to 10, 20, 30 as well. So I guess it's how they're kind of like quote unquote monetizing it. I guess because to be fair, the mode is completely free.
Yeah, that is true. Like, they got to find some way to make some money off of this.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, it's like I usually pre-order with gift cards or something like that. So for me, it's gonna be fine. I'll have all that stuff unlocked, but that's just something to keep in mind. Overall, I really want this to be good. I do enjoy Hearthstone still. As a casual game, I'm not like super hardcore into it, but I do play it, on my mobile phone and mess around with it and stuff like that. I do want this to be a good mode. Sometimes I just can't play TFT for 30 to 40 minutes. And this mode seems to be very short, 15 to 20 minutes as well. So I do think that I do want to enjoy this game. I do want to play. I do want to mess around, and really check it out and see how it works. So I hope that it does well. To be honest,
I hope so too. Like
yeah,
I love just seeing competition, and it just makes everything better.
yeah. So I will say I am a little disappointed that it's in Hearthstone. It makes sense why it's in Hearthstone. It's kind of the same reason why TFT probably could be in a separate launcher, but it's in League of Legends. They want people to play the main League of Legends game, right? But I
Hmm.
was hoping, and I was memeing about this when we did our predictions. But it would have been cool to have been HOTS. I mean, that would have opened it up to every single type of character in the Blizzard universe, or even making
Yeah,
it separate.
yeah,
But um, yeah,
yeah. It would have made a lot of sense. I mean, honestly, it could have fit in anywhere. It could have fit in as a mini game in WoW somewhere, or you
hmm
could even like try fitting it in Diablo. Like, there's plenty of monsters that you could have used
yeah.
for that.
I mean, I think the reason why, in my opinion, they didn't do that, and I was talking to a friend about this, is probably because it was going to cannibalize Hearthstone even more. So they
Yeah.
just added to Hearthstone to make it easier. But it would have been cool if it was a separate client game and just been like Hearthstone, Blizzard Battlegrounds or something like that, because it could have used all the assets, all the IPs. It could have been 3D modeling, could have been worked from the ground up. Maybe that will happen. I don't think so though. So that's what I'm most upset about. Is like I really wanted.
Yeah.
I don't think I already know that this will not be a huge auto chess competitor. And in my opinion, I still see it, regardless if I really, really enjoy playing it, I still see it kind of like what Heroes of the Storm did to like the MOBA scene. It didn't really do anything, but it had this niche and still does have this niche audience or whatever.
Mhm.
But it's definitely there to like keep people playing Hearthstone, basically.
Right. It's basically supporting Hearthstone, the actual trading card game. Because if you look at it, there's not many avenues for actual like monetization of that game.
hmm
Like, you can buy custom boards maybe, but you can't get like custom looks to your cards itself, like, or
Right.
units. There is no uh custom card backs you can buy, or custom portraits or something like that. There might
hmm
be eventually, but there's very limited ways to actually monetize what you can customize.
Right. I mean, most of their sales come from their pre-orders because you can get the characters. You can buy the characters from pre-orders, and you can get card backs from pre-orders. But that's about it. But I get what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's like just
Um.
there's a limited amount of things where if you look at TFT, there's a ton of stuff that you can buy.
Right. So, I don't know. Overall, I do hope it does well. I will definitely, like I said at the beginning of this, we'll be streaming it. So, go check that out if you guys want to and stuff. But yeah. Anyway,
Mhm.
moving on though. We got a couple more things to talk about, but Overwatch is up next. Overwatch came, and I'm going to preference this right now. I was very disappointed, but we'll continue with that in a sec. Overwatch announced that they were coming out with Overwatch, and I want to say quote unquote 2, which
Yep.
will add cooperative missions and stuff like that. They did confirm no single player. It is online cooperative missions with your friends in groups of 4 right now. They also announced that there is going to be a new PvP map, as well as enhanced graphics to the game as well.
Mhm.
I actually have more negative to say about this than I do positive, to be honest. So I mean,
Really?
yeah. So like
Okay.
I guess really quickly my thoughts on it. If you guys didn't know, they did announce that Overwatch 1 players will be able to play with Overwatch 2 players. That Overwatch 1 players will get the same skin events as Overwatch 2 players. That Overwatch 1 players, like I said, will be able to play with Overwatch 2 players. And that the only thing that Overwatch 1 will be missing out on is the cooperative game modes that will be exclusive to Overwatch 2 now. Even the new maps, balance changes, etc., and even new heroes that are introduced in Overwatch 2 will be playable
Mhm.
in Overwatch 1. So, in
Right.
my opinion, what I see Overwatch 2 as is it's a glorified expansion that's literally just adding
Mhm.
cooperative mode and enhanced visuals. And literally that's it. And then
Yeah.
repackaging that and selling that for who knows. They did not name a price point. I hope that it's very cheap. But let's say even if it's $40, I don't think I would get it, to be honest. I think it's actually a really disappointing announcement, to be honest. Like, I literally don't
Yeah.
have to buy Overwatch 2. I just don't. If I don't care
Right.
about that like cooperative type of stuff, which to me watching it, it didn't look anything unique or different from the demos I saw of Overwatch 2. Maybe that's different for
Mhm.
you because you got a hands-on with it. But I mean, that's my case with it. I'm very disappointed with Overwatch 2.
Yeah. So that is the big question mark with Overwatch 2 is that we saw all these features, but you don't actually need to buy the expansion pack. I'm just going to call it a straight up expansion pack. I'm not
Right?
even going to
Yeah.
call it a sequel.
hmm
Um, so you don't need to buy it. You can get all of these multiplayer features. You can keep all of your achievements and skins and everything. It doesn't matter if you buy it or not. You're going to have those anyway.
Which, let's be real
So
here, Overwatch's core feature is the multiplayer. They have a competitive seed
right.
rotate around their multiplayer. Multiplayer has been the only thing in the game for years. So
Yeah. And so like that's your bread and butter. This is just a completely optional sort of expansion pack that you can buy. Like it's a content pack. I'm
Mhm.
hoping and I'm crossing my fingers that this thing is going to be like a downloadable like content pack that you can get and not like just I really don't think I should be calling it a sequel. When the only thing you're adding is push in multiplayer and PvE missions.
Which is also accessible in Overwatch 1, by the way. They confirmed that. Push is in Overwatch. You can play Push in Overwatch 1.
Right, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like, I don't know, man. Yeah, I hope they, to be fair, the saving grace of this is they did not announce how much it was going to be or if it was going to cost anything. So we don't know.
Yes.
So but then the way they mentioned it made it seem like it's a separate game, right? Because they're like, Overwatch 1 players will still be able to play with Overwatch 2 players because we don't want to split the
Yeah.
player base. So it makes it sound like it's a totally separate game
Yeah,
that they're coming out with. So that's why I was assuming it's just going to cost something.
Yeah, they mentioned something about blurring the lines between what is an expansion and what isn't, or what is a sequel and what's not. And I don't know the thinking behind that.
I don't know either. It's so weird.
So, like, yeah, like the main draw of this is going to be the PvE missions. If you are not interested in it, don't buy it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that they create enough content for this PvE content pack that makes it worthwhile. Because as it stands, if there's only like a couple of missions, it is not.
Yeah.
It really needs to be like it
Like
needs
a
to be
40-hour game.
Yeah, like
Plus.
at least like 15 or 20 hours, I'd say.
Yeah. I mean, even just did you demo it at BlizzCon?
I did. Yeah.
So this is what I saw. I saw XQC stream it. It just looked like any other PvE we've had in Overwatch 1. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there was like collectible loot that like makes your character different, but it just looked like it's like, okay, you can only choose like these 5 characters. Okay, it's kind of like Overwatch has this thing called Overwatch Archives where it goes back into the past or whatever. And then the last one it was like, okay, I choose Genji. It's like, oh, you choose Tracer, you choose Reinhardt, you choose Mercy. Cool, let's go. And then it's just literally just running through very linear path or whatever and just killing like as many robots as you could.
Yeah.
Like that's all it felt like. So what uniqueness did Overwatch 2 bring to the table, I guess, when it came to those like single player like run through missions and stuff?
It's going to be heavily story based.
Okay.
So what you're getting out of this is just a storyline, like from beginning to end. You have a setup, you have like a goal, and you're going to complete that goal. So it's trying to add like a sort of narrative to the game for people that want it. You'll probably have just like characters that you can only like maybe you pick one of 4 characters. You can't like go through the entire roster with one of, because that's just way too much, because they have to do dialogue for each character and just like, you know, have them be a part of the story. So gameplay wise, think of it as Left 4 Dead. Okay. I think it's
I was thinking more I was thinking more of like COD. Like, you know what I mean? Like you choose these random characters, you're dropped in, there's a narrative, but it's very linear, and you just kind of run through it. It's like a 6-hour game or something.
Yeah. I just kind of like see that in my head. It's like, it's Left 4 Dead. You've got 4 characters going through this like, you know, very sort of linear
cooperative,
map. It's cooperative.
Right.
So I see it as kind of like that. Difficulty is, you know, it's challenging actually. If you play expert mode, it's actually pretty difficult.
Okay.
But gameplay wise, it's kind of interesting because you're also adding extra talents that your characters can actually build up. Like your character can actually level up, and you can gradually earn these new abilities. So you can kind of like tweak your gameplay a little bit. Like I played Tracer when I demoed it, and the two talents that you could actually choose between were one where if you used any kind of ability, it automatically reloads your weapons, and the other talent was when you use your ultimate, anything that explosion hits will set off a secondary explosion.
Interesting.
So there's ways to kind of augment the gameplay to make it a little bit more interesting as you level up doing all of these missions.
I wonder if that's going to be
So
added to multiplayer, by the way. That would be really interesting, right? Like, kind of like
yeah,
adding a talent system, or like it's almost like adding items. It's like, oh, he's choosing to go like, but you lock it in. Like, I don't know how that would work, but that would just be really interesting to kind of be like, oh, he's going like Tracer, but he's doing like this all or this ability with it with this Tracer, and there's like this combination of Tracer. I don't know, you know what I mean? For like different play
yeah,
styles, maybe that'd be kind of
yeah.
interesting.
It could be cool. It could be cool. Like that'd be an interesting idea to try out. Maybe like this is a way of testing that.
Right.
But yeah, I think that I'm not sure this is going to keep people's interest in the long run. I really hope that they add more stuff to this, because
Right.
as it stands, I can see this being worth like maybe 10 or 20 bucks at most.
Yeah. I mean, I was super disappointed with this. I was just really hoping it was a content patch. It just seems like it's a content patch or whatever. No release date on that, by the way, on Overwatch 2. Don't know when it's coming out. They said they would be going dark. I watched the What's Next in Overwatch. They said they would be going dark after this, so no release date on that as well. All right. So I guess I don't know how quickly, but last thing, saving the best, in my opinion, best for last. Diablo 4 was announced. Dope trailer, by the way. Totally set the vibe
So
for
good.
Diablo 4. So dark and
So
eerie
good.
and scary, and it was good. Diablo 4 has been announced. Lilith is the character that is the main villain for this, and there's so much that we can cover right now, so just interrupt me at any time, Pixel, if you want to interrupt stuff. But they have confirmed a ton of stuff. I'd highly, highly, highly recommend you guys to go look up Riker on YouTube. He had about an hour and a half, almost 2 hour stream, which he edited down for everyone on his YouTube, where he basically sat down with the lead game designer for Diablo 4, and literally it was for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, rapid fired questions to him about anything and everything with this game, about how open world's going to work, all this type of stuff. It's crazy. It's a very good video to watch. Highly recommend anyone to sit through it, just listen to it. It's very good.
It's an incredible amount of information. There is a lot to pick through.
So just some of the stuff coming to Diablo 4. It's going to be darker. It looks like it's going to be way more darker. There's mounts in the game. The gameplay, the game, which the lead designer has talked about already, said that they wanted to make it a mash of just the love of D2 and D3. They recognize that there are a lot of people that hardcore play D2, and there's a lot of people still that play a hardcore amount of D3, and that there's certain aspects from both. They've taken the fluidity from D3, but also the grittiness of D2. One of the things they brought back, for example, passive talents. There's now a passive talent skill tree within the game that is created. They also have brought back, though, the talent system or the ability system from D3 as well. So those two things are back in the game as well. Mana resources and all that type of stuff is not unlimited, but it works the same way as in D3. You don't have to buy mana potions or anything like that. They have confirmed trading will be in the game, but trading will work like World of Warcraft. There's bind on pickup. There's bind on equip. Certain items will not be tradable as well. They confirmed that the trading system goes, or the rarity system goes something like gray, blue, yellow, legendary / set, and then there's something else called, like, I forgot what it's called, and then there's something above that called mythic.
And ancient, I believe.
Ancient and then ancient and then probably mythic. They confirmed as well that the game is open world. It's totally going to be open world. It's a huge map apparently, and that mobs have levels to them, so you can kind of choose where you want to go within this world to level. So there is no more Act 1, 2, 3, 4 normal, hardcore, normal hell mode, and for all those type of modes or torments. There's none of that anymore. It's totally just open world. You guys figure out where you want to go. You guys choose where you want to go as well, which I think is really great, which also means that drop rates are going to be set to a certain amount. Mythics will be
Yes.
extremely rare, maybe 1% drop rate, etc., as well. They called
So
it.
like,
Yeah, go ahead.
oh, sorry. So like, just kind of an example of the open world. It is not like MMOs. It is not like World of Warcraft. If you
Right.
actually play the game, it is very similar to kind of like the phasing instances that you get when you enter a certain area, because that's
It
kind of like what I
reminds me
saw
of
in the
Destiny.
demo.
It reminds me of Destiny 2 minus all the atrocious loading.
Yeah, exactly. And so like you enter an area and then suddenly some person just kind of like fades in.
Right.
So you're gonna get that sort of weird, like, phasing instances disconnect that you get, like just people randomly popping in and out.
Right.
So that's kind of like what it's going to be instead of like pure open world MMO feel.
Right. Hearthstones are back in the game, confirmed. You can set a town. You can eat. They mentioned that waypoints are in the game as well. They also confirmed guilds are going to be in the game, and better than ever, there will be guild housing, which I thought was interesting. But it will be instance, so it's not like you can just walk somewhere and it's like, oh, that's my guild house over there. Look, but it's like everyone can teleport to their like guild housing, which is like an instance type of area. They're not sure how big guilds will be as well. They kind of touched on this, but they didn't want to get too much into it. There will be some type of cosmetic store like PoE does, which I think was kind of obvious. We were kind of expecting that, to be honest, or whatever, as well. The demo had Sorcerer, Barb, and Druid as well. There's going to be 2 more classes as well that they have not announced. And they did warn us that the game is probably coming out very, very long from now. So I don't even know if I'll care about this, 2 years from now, but it's at least a couple of years out. If you guys didn't know, they said during the panel that they started working on the game hardcore, like actually working, programming it and stuff like that around June of this year. And that the demo that they had at BlizzCon was pre-alpha that they built in about 3 weeks. So it's super, super early with this or whatever. Also should mention, like kind of Pixel touched on, but it is, kind of MMO-y in the sense that like there are world bosses that show up and a bunch of people have to fight them and tackle them as well. You can queue up with party members in instance to dungeons as well and go through there and all that good stuff as well. I mean, this looks great. This looks like this looks like it actually, this made up for all the complaints I had previously up to this point. This is exactly, and I don't know about you, Pixel, but this looks exactly what I was saying I wanted. I wanted something that was like Diablo 3, more hardcore than Diablo 3, but not as complicated as PoE, in the sense of like having spreadsheets out. And I don't, personally, guys, I don't like PoE. I feel like PoE, it's very stiff, as well as with PoE, it's like you spam, like your all builds are just like spam one ability. And try to clear things like mega fast. So I don't really like it, but this looks exactly where I want it. Exactly in the in-between, minus world bosses. I don't like world bosses. I don't think it's a fun mechanic. I think it's stupid. You just kind of go there and you're just standing there and you spam a bunch of stuff and hope stuff drops. Maybe I'm just bitter because of Destiny 2 and Destiny 1, how they do it. But I mean, overall, this looks great. Pixel got to demo it. So I mean, Pixel, what do you think? What is your feels with Diablo?
Okay, so I'm going to preface this by saying that I'm a massive Diablo fan, so I'm going to be kind of biased here.
Okay.
Like Diablo, I love Diablo. And I got to demo all 3 classes actually. I got in line and played each and every one of them just to like get a feel for like how it played. And I will tell you, like, the combat is incredibly fluid.
Nice.
For each character. Like it feels good. Like you play the Barb, you think it's boring, but it feels meaty.
Oh no, I
visceral.
love melee characters and action RPGs. Like just getting in there, like destroying stuff, blood all over me and stuff like that. It looks great.
Yeah. Like it's kind of amazing. In a few months' time, they've made this character feel really visceral, and just it felt like powerful each and every swing. Just like that one ability where you're, it's called upheaval, and you're like in a cone, you're just like bringing up the entire ground and just crushing everything in front of you. Like it just feels good.
Nice.
So you're gonna have like all the classic abilities. You're gonna have like leap. You're gonna have whirlwind. You're gonna have meteor for the source. You're going to have the shape shifting for the druid, which the shape shifting is actually kind of interesting. So you're not actually toggling a form on and off like in D2. It's linked to an ability. So when you activate that ability, you instantly switch to that form just
Okay.
for that attack. So like you could be like charging up attacks with your left click and you're in like a wolf form. And then as soon as you click right click, you transform into the bear and you slam the ground.
Mm.
So it feels really good actually. Like
Okay.
it actually is very, very fluid. And I like that kind of cadence with the combat. And they've also added something that's interesting. They've added a dodge mechanic.
Oh yeah, that looked
So
weird though. Like, did that work very well, or like it looked kind of stiff to be
um
honest?
it wasn't I guess it was meant to kind of prevent spamminess.
Right.
So when you click it, like it responds very quickly. But the thing is there's a period where you can't use it again.
Mm.
So like you have this sort of like almost like a stumble at the
Mm.
end. So like you kind of couldn't really do anything in that time, but it was really just meant to like get you away from just like stuff on the ground kind of
Right.
thing. And so like it was cool that they added that in. Like I'm glad that they finally did
Right. Yeah.
because like I've been wanting some sort of like escape mechanic for like the longest time. So it was kind of cool that they added that in.
Okay.
Um, all the characters were like level 20, so I didn't get to see any kind of like
And max level's
super
40, by the
powerful.
way.
It is
Yeah,
really
max
wow.
level's
Okay.
gonna be 40, and they said with expansions it'll increase.
Huh. Okay.
So
Yeah. I just so I'm not sure about like items and just how many special abilities they have. I've noticed that with the items that you did have on your character, there weren't many stats to worry about.
mhm.
There were just some sort of like tiny little modifiers. So I can't really speak to like itemization all that much.
Mhm.
But one thing that I'm really happy to see is that rune words are back.
Yeah, rune words are dope.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
totally
was like,
agree.
I actually really liked rune words like back in
Yeah.
D2. Like I felt like they were just a cool addition to the game and that you can just kind of create something that was sort of unique in that way.
Yeah.
Um, so I really, really like that addition. I'm glad they're bringing it back. Um, what else can I say about it? Like, there's cool things about the environment, being that you're not totally locked to like the isometric view, but only if you like approach a ledge, you can
Mhm.
actually like move the camera around and you can see like a vista of the environment and stuff. So
Okay.
it's kind of cool to like have that little bit of immersion in there.
Right.
Um,
I liked how like in the when I was watching Riker's podcast or like thing, he was just uh like the designer was like everything you see you can go to.
yeah.
And I thought that was really cool
Hmm.
as well. Oh,
Yeah.
I should
Yeah.
mention there are gonna be a ton of zones apparently that when you enter them, you're instantly flagged for PvP.
Yes.
And
Yeah. Yeah. So
I thought
there
that
are.
was or you can also toggle PvP on forever for yourself. And when you do that, it notifies everyone on the map or in your zone that you are flagged for PvP. So people might
Mm,
start coming out to get you. And once they hit you, obviously they're flagged for PvP. So that could cause like a pretty big ripple effect. You will be marked on the
yes.
map and people will know that like, oh, they'll see a little skull or something. The way they said right now is that there will be like a little skull that will notify you that you are flagged for PvP, but you will gain like an XP boost from being
Hmm.
flagged in the area. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's nice that like there are going to be zones where you cannot be, attacked and stuff like that, and there are going to be zones where you can, flag yourself as, PvP,
Right.
uh, ready to PvP.
Right.
So you are going to have that choice. It's not going to be like in D2 where you just like, oh well, you're just gonna get attacked.
Yeah, I just love the fact that it's so open world. Like they really considered the fact that like some people like playing solo and some people don't. Some people like the challenge and some don't. So it's like for some people, it's like, so what if I get a good piece of gear? What if um I want a little bit of challenge? We'll go for it. Every mob has a specific level type, level
Mhm.
to it. And so if you want to go challenge yourself, or if you guys have a 4-man group, you can by all means go run to a harder zone. Go run to a
Mhm.
harder dungeon. You're not stuck in this linear path that isn't and that has been notorious for many action RPGs.
Mhm.
So I love that.
Yeah, yeah. You can actually see like the levels of mobs now. You can actually see like, oh, this one's actually substantially more difficult than what I'm probably capable of doing, and
Hmm.
it will be reflected in your ability to kill it. Like it'll just take longer, and
Right,
like you might actually die from it.
Right. And I love that about it.
Hmm.
I mean, overall, like, I think we already know, but I mean, I really hope this game comes out fast. For sure. Like, I really hope this game comes out fast. But we're looking at
Yeah.
probably something around 2021, like probably 2021, maybe 2022
I
for this type of game, type of stuff, unfortunately.
Yeah, so, like, since they're in the pre-alpha stage, they're still figuring out what this game is supposed to be.
Yeah.
So that means that there is a lot of prototyping work that needs to be
And a
done.
lot of changes are going to happen. Watch it be like D
Yes.
3.5. Like, it just
Yeah,
completely
right?
scrap everything. It's like, oh no.
Oh, that would be so sad.
Uh, that'd be pretty sad.
But
But yeah.
yeah, looking at the engine that they were using, it seems like they were just building it off of the D3 engine, but with updated assets. That's probably how they were able to, like, get something out so quickly.
Yeah, I hope that's not the
Um,
case, but maybe, they will continue to use that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the graphics did look very good in it. Like, it was
Mhm.
very gritty, sort of like monotone, like with just a few accents of color. So it's kind of like what people were wanting this whole time, you
Okay.
know?
I mean,
S
yeah, I
Yeah,
really love the art style of it, like, so I'm kind of okay. I'm kind of okay with like the grittiness of it, for sure.
yeah, yeah, totally. Um,
But yeah, I mean, I don't know much more to say. One of the things I will say is like Kriparian did a video about this, and I was watching him because I was just trying to absorb as much Diablo knowledge as possible. And he did
mhm,
say that he was a very early alpha and beta tester for D3, and he said
mhm,
that the final product of D3 was super changed. It was super different. And that he was
yeah,
also a final beta tester for Reaper of Souls, and it was very, very different. So, while we're reporting on this, and Pixel and I are pretty hyped about it, etc. For me personally, action RPGs are my favorite genre of all time. As you guys know, if you guys check out my streams and stuff, whenever a new season in D3 comes out, I definitely play it for countless hours. My longest streams have been Diablo 3 streams, actually. So I definitely want to get sucked back into this type of game. But I will say that the stuff we're reporting on now could very well change very, very quickly. You know what I mean? They want to put in a lot, and once again, I will recommend you guys go watch Riker's video. It's very informative. But there are a lot of times when they're like, "So how is trading going to work?" And they're like, "Well, we're kind of working it out right now. We think how it's going to work is like you
mhm,
will use gold, and you have to do this and this. Like, but we're not really dead set on this yet. Like, it's very,
mhm.
very early. So a lot of these things, like even trading, could be removed from the game."
Yeah, yeah. So, like, if people aren't familiar with industry terminology, we're in a stage called alpha, and alpha, it means that we're trying to figure out the basic game itself. We're trying to figure out what kind of features we want to put in.
Foundation, like even just broad foundation, I would want to say big picture foundation. Like, we
Yeah,
want
yeah,
trading. Like, that's literally
exactly.
it. But
Like,
then it's like, how do we
how
do
do we
trading? Yeah, exactly.
exactly, like, how do we add this feature in there? We know we want it, but we want to figure out how we actually want to do it. And that's kind of like the stage that we're in. We're in alpha or
Right.
pre-alpha, as we want to sometimes call it. But when you get to beta, that's when all of these features are locked down,
Right.
and that's when we start bug testing and just thinking about fixing the things that we already have.
Right.
So it is a very, very long time before we get to even a beta stage.
Right.
So it could be years.
Yeah.
And of course, with Blizzard, these
Could be
games take a
decades.
long time.
Yeah.
They take a long time.
Yeah.
So I would not be surprised if this thing comes out in like late 21 or early 22, to be honest.
Yeah. One of the things I will add to some other stuff, we can come back to this conversation too, is that they did confirm also there's a shared stash as well amongst
Hmm.
all your characters and stuff. So that's just kind of a side note. Kind of dealing with the trading thing. I actually really like what PoE does with trading. And I don't know how Blizzard is going to work this out. And I really hope that they nail, first of all, I hope they nail two things. I think trading needs to be nailed very, very well. And I think that also crafting definitely needs to be nailed very, very well.
Mm,
Because in endgame, that's what you usually do is like you're crafting a lot of stuff. I really like the fact that in PoE there is no gold system, but what you're trading is crafting materials that have like an intrinsic value to them. And
mhm,
I like the way that trading works in PoE is like, yes, you can spam general chat and trade. I hope that that's not the case. What I want is what PoE does is you can take one of your stash tabs and you can actually mark it to be public. And anything you put in that stash tab, you can then set a price to. and list it for anything. You can say, I want to sell this for 4 chaos orbs. And you can say that could be the exact price, or you can be negotiable, or whatever it might be. And so I really like that in PoE, that's how the trading system works in it, because both parties know exactly what they're going to get from it. And there's no way of like scamming people or something like that. I don't really like that there's golden Diablo, because at some point it's like, oh, 2 billion gold for this, 3 billion. It's just going to get inflated so quickly. So I do hope there is some type of options, like you can trade crafting materials or possibly gold, maybe. But I would prefer them to do like a PoE type of system for trading, because then you avoid people like spamming general. Hey guys, I have this weapon linked here, like blah 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 blah, and just keep getting those spammers over and over and over again who do that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So
Yeah,
I do wish to avoid that type of situation. And it's nice in PoE. What happens is that when you're looking through someone's public stash, you do have to use like a third party website or the PoE website to like contact people though. But it's like on their profile. But what happens is you click the item that you want, and if you have PoE open, you automatically send that person a whisper. It's like, hey, I would like to buy such and such item for your listed price of 4 chaos. And so then like all you do is like it's in whispers, so then you can just, invite them to trade, invite them to your hideout, which is kind of like your instanced house. You trade, for 4 chaos, it's confirmed, boom, boom, done. I really like that, because I would prefer them to avoid a traditional trading system where literally it's just people in trade chat or something spamming. And I'd also like them to avoid an auction house. A listed auction house or something like that.
Yeah, and I am so glad we've gone away from D2 where we had to create lobbies for trading itself.
Yeah, or even that.
God, it's so miserable.
So, I mean, I really don't know how it's going to work. Even just like talking about it being kind of like open world, like, like I know Destiny 2 doesn't really technically have servers, but it does. So like that's kind of weird too. How's that going to work? Do we choose a server to go to, or is we just kind of all phasing in and out of like one giant server? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I guess they're still figuring that out, what they want to do with it.
Exactly.
Good old pre-alpha.
But yeah, overall, super hyped for D4. I hope that a couple years down the line, if this podcast still exists, we can talk about it and play it and be like, oh yeah, this is the game. But I mean, so far, man, it nailed it out of the park. It was insane.
Oh man, yeah, like just the way they presented that cinematic in the beginning was incredible. Like how they have a countdown.
Yeah.
For like,
did you see it crashed on the main stage, by the way?
Yeah,
it actually crashed on the mythic stage. Yeah.
They only had sound, I believe, and like the picture went out, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I got to see it all on live stream, so I don't care. But I mean,
countdown went down. It was counting down, and when it hit 4, the countdown like faded away, and I was like, oh, it's happening.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That
was
so
really,
good.
That was really smart.
That was slick.
Yeah, it literally nailed the park out of everything that I wanted from, like, just foundationally what they're talking about from a game. I want it to be complex, but not overly complex like PoE. The art style, I think, nailed it out of the park. Like, just everything was really, really cool. And I really hope this is like the game, because I'll become like a D4 streamer. I don't care. Like, I think it would be really, really fun. And we'll start a D4 podcast, probably. Like, at that point.
D4 thoughts?
Yeah, D4 thoughts or something. Or D4 content or something. I don't know. But anyway, I will say my overall experience with BlizzCon, in my opinion, besides Diablo 4, kind of disappointing with a lot of the announcements, in my opinion. They were very expected. Overwatch 2, I don't know what you're doing there, guys. Hearthstone Battlegrounds, we'll wait and see until tomorrow. I hope it's really, really good and that it's a decent game, but I'm still kind of on the fence with that as well. Everything else was kind of standard fare. We kind of expected a WoW expansion. Love what they're doing with it. But overall, I think BlizzCon itself for the announcements. D4 took the show, obviously. But beyond that, I don't know. It seemed like a pretty standard fare for announcements and for a convention. I don't know. Closing thoughts, Pixel, for you?
I mean, it was all about D4, honestly. Like, they could have just announced like nothing else, and it would have been fine for me, because I think D4 was just that much of a showstopper.
Yeah.
Like, it was just that powerful that I couldn't even remember half of those announcements in the opening ceremony. It was just like, D4 was like the only thing that was on my
Like, get me
mind.
back to D4, dog. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
exactly. Like I'm gonna go run down there and try this out right now.
Yeah, for sure.
So like for me, yeah, like it was all about D4, and I really don't care all that much about all the other announcements. Sure, I think they missed the mark on a few of those, unfortunately.
Of
And
course.
some of them, I'm still holding out hope that it's going to turn out better. Overwatch 2, hopefully, because
Yeah.
like the cinematics are still fantastic. I love
Of course, yeah, but that's every Diablo game. Even D3 cinematics are pretty dope.
them. Yeah,
Oh.
true.
But anyway, I think that's about it, guys. I think we covered BlizzCon 2019. I think we're finally done with talking about announcements. Next week, though, we do have Death Stranding talks, and we do have Pokemon
Ooh.
Sword and Shield talks. So that's going to be pretty cool as well. But I think we're going to cut it there, guys. End it there. Very long podcast and stuff like that. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. As always, I hope that you guys enjoyed the BlizzCon announcements. Like I said, one last time, twitch.tv/ryankubo. Tomorrow we'll be playing some Hearthstone Battlegrounds. At least I will. Maybe Pixel will. Who knows? But if you can get in somehow. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks so much for watching and stuff like that. We really appreciate it. And until next time, guys, we're done here. So peace, guys.
See you guys.